Hi, everybody. Welcome into the Swain County High School Athletic Hall of Fame building as we talk Maroon Devil football this week with head coach Sherman Holt. Coach, it's wet, nasty outside. I hope it clears up before Friday night's big game with Murphy, but it's good to be in this Hall of Fame building. So many great memories of so many great people. But hey, let's talk about those Rosman Tigers. Had a good win last Friday on that brand new AstroTurf over at Rosman High School, and thank goodness we won't have any more Mud Bowl games anymore. We got a chance to talk with longtime Rosman coach Jim Fox over there Friday, and he remembers some of those Mud Bowl games, as I'm sure you do. But all in all, a good win for our Maroon Devils.
Yeah, it was a good night, and would like to commend Rosman and that community and that school just on the facility that they have. I mean, it's an amazing place to play.
Yeah.
They redoing the field and kind of flip sides on the stadium since the old, used to it was opposite, and so it was just a nice place to play, in a great setting right there in Rosman. And I told one of our coaches in pregame, we're out there and the leaves are changing colors, and I told him, I said, there's nothing like playing football on a Friday night in Western North Carolina. Just the scenery and the new field surface, and so want to commend them for what they did with that facility, with the upgrades, and just an amazing place to play. And proud of our kids. We played a lot of kids, offensively and defensively. Got a lot of kids in, a lot of reps, and just wanting to see those young guys, get in there and play and get better and execute. That's what I told them at halftime. Still want execution to be really high, and don't want anything to change depending on who's in the ball game. And that was a big thing for us. And overall, we felt like our kids played pretty good.
Yeah, no doubt. We were talking with Coach Rod Wine and Coach Jim Fox a little bit way back in the day, and a lot of you players and coaches might remember this that didn't go over to this new facility. But one night we were playing, Coach, and it was so muddy that from a broadcaster radio point of view, you couldn't tell what the numbers were, and you kind of knew how players ran when they carried the ball. But we all laughed about some of those great memories. But what a nice facility, and hopefully our guys can take some of those memories back playing at Rosman High School.
Yeah, I've heard a bunch of stories about, playing in the mud and like having to change jerseys at halftime and stuff over the years. And so it's just it's neat to get to hear those stories from long ago. And I seen the picture of where you and Coach White and Coach Fox and his wife were together, and that, I haven't seen Coach Fox in a long time, and so it's good to see him, and just kind of hash it out a little bit and talk a little football. It was fun getting to do that before the game, but it's just one of those things where there's just a lot of tradition at both places. And Coach Fox did a real good job when he was at Rosman. I can remember some games in the early 2000s that they were able to win that a lot of people thought, how in the world, And he just a great coach. Always had his teams prepared. And it's good to, get to enjoy that history and that tradition, and get to, share those memories with those guys that have come before us.
No doubt. A lot of people, we mentioned during the broadcast, a lot of people don't remember, but Coach Fox and Rosman played for a 1A state championship back in the day, so they have some tradition. Of course, we have a lot of tradition here, Coach, and a lot of it's against these old Murphy Bulldogs that are going to be coming in Friday. Seeding is on the line, maybe a higher seed if you win, and a piece of the conference championship. So there are a lot of intangibles that make this game even more fun. Maybe wet, maybe we hope it's going to be dry, but a lot of things that are really, I think, fan-friendly about this game coming up Friday with Murphy.
Yeah, it's going to be big for our community to come out and support our team, and we got this rivalry back to the last game of the year, like it had been for so many times before. And talking with Coach Watson back in the spring when we were trying to do the conference schedule, getting ready for realignment, that was a big thing for both both communities. Is we wanted to play last week of the season, and it was part of that. Trying to settle the conference championship the last week, it has come down to that a lot. And back having it this time the first year, it's got conference championship implications on it, and so it's pretty fitting that we get it back the way that it used to be for so many years.
Yeah.
And Swain Murphy Friday night get to play and go and decide who wins the conference championship. And so it's just big for our kids. It's big for our community. We need everybody that can be here to be here. Supporting our boys. They've worked really, really hard. I think a month ago, a lot of people wouldn't have thought we'd have been in this situation. I know at the beginning of the year there was a lot of people that wouldn't have thought we'd have been in this situation. And our kids have played hard and proved some of the naysayers wrong. And it's just one of those things where we worry about what we control. It's what we've told them all year. We got to go get ready to play a really good Murphy football team Friday night. Coach Watson has done a real good job with that group of kids, and they've got some really good football players up front, offensively and defensively. I think it could be the best defensive line we've probably played all year. So got to do well on that side of the ball for us offensively up front. It's going to be a challenge for our guys, and we're going to get ready to go play that part of it. And then when you look at them offensively, they do what Murphy does. They run buck sweep, they run trap, they run a little counter. But it's one of those things where we got to kind of slow down Cameron Clem. He's a big part of their offense. Quarterback is a really good what I call like manager of the game, takes care of the football, makes some throws when he has to. He moves the pocket a little bit, and so just got to keep our eyes on him and kind of keep him contained. And then, defensively for us, it's just limit the big play. We got to make sure that we make them earn everything that they get, and don't miss a fit where we give up a big play, because that can really happen. They've got kids that can go the distance, and they've got 2 or 3 guys. The Payne kid at wide receiver does a real good job catching the football, and he does a real good job of like possession type receiver. When they need a big play, he can make it happen, and so got to be disciplined in the secondary. But it's one of those things where I think it's going to come down to who takes care of the football the best. Got to limit turnovers and got to create some, hopefully, for us. And then field position is going to be big. Yeah. Special teams, we've got to make sure that we do our job in the special teams game, because they have been able to change the outcome of a couple of their games that they've won, because they've had some big special team plays. And so for us, we got to be dialed in. And our kids had a real good practice Monday, and the install and good team meeting, and I thought we were focused. And so just trying to make sure our kids are ready to play. That's the number one thing for us, is getting our kids ready to go play against a really good Murphy team.
Oh, no doubt. Fans will come back and talk more about the Murphy Bulldogs on this week's Coaches Show, as right now we're going to take a break and recognize our great sponsors, and we'll come back here on the Maroon Devils Network. Fans, welcome back as we get ready for those Murphy Bulldogs coming into Swain County Memorial Stadium and Boyce Dietz Field on Friday night. Coach, just a look back a little bit to the Rosman game. Our passing game really worked well, I thought. So I know that may be something that you want to use against Murphy. The balanced attack offensively is always good to keep the defense honest, but we had some really nice plays with the passing game as Drew Cody had a good ball game.
Yeah, I think all but one of our touchdowns were passing touchdowns. And so it was one of those things where, you take what the defense gives you. Yeah. And, they were really crowding the box, and they were playing kind of press on our outside guys. And so we felt like loosening them up a little bit would help us. And, just building a little confidence, working on some things that down the road we have to do, to go win a football game. And so was real pleased in the passing game. Protecting the quarterback was good. That's always a big thing for me is, up front, how well can we protect our quarterback, because you can drop back to throw it, but if you don't have time, it ain't going to be successful. And so did a real good job protecting him. And, John Stevenson caught a touchdown, Aiden Kirkland, Corey Stillwell, all those guys, getting involved in the passing game and just doing their job. And I always tell them when the phone rings, answer it. So when your number's called, you gotta step up, make a play. And so I was proud of those kids and what they did offensively. And anytime defensively that you pitch a shutout, you got to be happy. Yeah. And I think there's some things that we can work on. But anytime you give up 0 points, that's always a good thing. And played a lot of kids on the defensive side of the ball, and that was a good because you got to try to get some younger kids in to give them some experience down the road just in case you got to have them, And so that's one of those things where it was good in all phases. We had some really good things on offense, defense, special teams. Defensively, first half we didn't tackle as good as I would have liked, but second half we kind of tightened up and settled in a little bit better and didn't give up too many big plays, and that was big for us. And offensively, when you get in that situation and that clock's starting to run, it goes by, and so just being efficient. Doing what we ask them to do. And, sometimes you're working on things that you might not would run in a certain game or a certain situation, but you want to see it in a live game. And so that was some big things that we were doing. And, just hats off to our kids, the way they played. They always play hard, never question their effort and their heart. So that was always something good to see. And it's always good to, go into a place when you're favored. Yeah. And do what you should do, because that sometimes can creep up on you, especially with what we had coming this week. It would have been real easy for us to kind of, start looking at the Murphy week, and our kids done a real good job of locking in and taking care of business and doing what they should have done. Yeah.
And, of course, the Rosman coach is an old Murphy Bulldog himself, Coach Allen, and I think they're going to be better. They don't have a lot of seniors, so they have a lot of folks coming back, and I think they're going to be better. Coach, talking about the real Murphy Bulldogs, if you will, Cameron Clem, one of the best backs in the mountains. Kind of watching him a little bit, he likes to juke people. Even though he's big enough, I think, and strong enough to run over people. So, wow, I think a lot of focus, I'm guessing, is not letting him juke and get away. You got to put some shoulder pads on him and wrap him up, don't you?
Yeah, tackling's going to be a real big emphasis this week for us, just because of, you got a big physical type running back kid, but he's also really, really elusive, So it's going to be one of those things where we got to make sure that we get him on the ground, don't let him get any second opportunities to make another one miss. And so just got to take the right angle, and track what you got to track. And when we get there, make sure we wrap up, grab cloth, hold on, just got to make sure we secure that tackle, because he's a great big old running back that's very elusive. And, he runs that buck sweep pretty doggone good. I mean, he looks like he's going outside and then he cuts it inside. Looks like he's going inside, cuts it outside. So just got to play assignment football defensively for us, just being the right fits and, fit your gap, fit your responsibility, and, when you get there, make sure you make a tackle.
Oh, no doubt. Coach, talking about the linemen, of course, we got a couple of linemen that are going to be playing with you in that East-West game. Of course, our own Drew Skaggs, who is just outstanding, but Murphy has capable linemen, very good linemen. Of course, Aiden Smiley, Noah Brown. So the line is going to have, we've talked about Cameron Clem and the skill people both teams have, but I tell you what, it still, to me, starts up front at that line of scrimmage, and both teams have really good players up front.
Yeah, for them offensively, the Gooden kid, he's a big physical tackle that does a real good job for them, and their two guards, 55 and 51, they do a real good job of running that buck sweep, and their trap plays really good, and they're really physical, and not that they're humongous guys, those two guards, but they play like crazy, man. I'm telling you. You turn the film on and you can't help but like watching those two guards play because they get after it. And, that's something for us that, we're going to have to, do a good job of matching physicality because I think in the trenches is where this one's probably going to be decided.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest with you.
Yep.
They've got a really good offense and defensive line, and I feel like that our offensive and defensive line has been one of our strong suits throughout the season. Defensively, the Brazil kid, he's a good defensive end, very athletic, long type kid. And then, of course, Gooden flips over and plays that 3 technique. And then the Pinkerton kid at nose guard, he's good physical, big type kid. It's just one of those things where you look on both sides. It's going to be a really good matchup. Going to be real physical. It's going to be a good football game to watch. As far as if you're a fan and you want to see a real good physical football game, I'd say Bryson City's the place to be on Friday night because it is, and I think we've challenged our kids that up front. That's where we got to go dominate, and we got to win that battle, to win this football game. And so, and not taking nothing away from the skill kids because there's plenty of skill kids involved in this one. Drew Cody leads the conference in touchdowns. Their quarterback has played for 3 years, and he's just a solid kid. He don't make many mistakes. He takes care of the football, and that's one of those things where got some good matchups, on both sides. But I think coming down to it, it's going to be decided in the trenches is who can control the line of scrimmage and average some good plays on offense, and then defensively, who can cause some chaos and get in the backfield and mess some things up. I think that's the plan probably for both groups this week. Is how good can we play up front, and it's just typical Murphy Swain game. You think back through the years of the matchups during this game of how equal it was, or how tight some of those ball games were. It comes down to a few plays, and in close ball games that we've always told our kids, it might be the first play of the game that decides the game. It might be the first drive, whatever. So got to be locked in, ready to play from the get-go. And, we expect nothing less from Murphy and Coach Watson and those guys over there. They're going to bring their best, and, that's what we plan on doing. And, just a good rivalry game. Yeah. There's a lot of pride and community, backing and, just bragging rights and stuff. And again, coming down to that conference championship, who do you want to – how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be the team that wins it or not? And that's kind of what it is Friday night. Oh,
no doubt. Fans, we're so proud of our mountain football teams. It's unique this year. You look at some of the playoffs down the road. Of course, this game has playoff implications. For example, Robbinsville could be the number 1 seed in the West. Murphy or Swain could be the number 1 seed in the 2A. You got Mountain Heritage, probably the number 1 seed in the 3A. You got Brevard, potentially. They have a big game with Pisgah. Brevard could be the number 1 seed in the 4A. Great Mountain football this year. We're so proud of our Maroon Devils, obviously, and these teams who have had a great year. We'll come back next week and talk about those playoffs. Now, from what we've been told, the playoff brackets will not be released until Sunday. They were thinking about Monday. That really got a lot of people upset. In the past, it's always been Saturday, so teams can plan, coaches can plan, and fans also can plan. So hopefully we'll know Sunday what the playoff brackets look like. And hey, we'll talk more about that next week right here on the Maroon Devils Network.